And we are live on a Monday night. How's everybody doing? I am Herman. This is H&D Abroad coming to you on a Monday night. Hope everybody had a great weekend. Uh, Give everybody a chance to come through. Hope everybody can come in. We are excited to continue to provide great content for you as we learn about our struggle. So I'll do a minute and introduce myself in this process. If you're new to our channel, my name is Herman. I am the Herman part of H&D Abroad. The wonderful D is taking a break tonight because this is Man Monday. It's a new project. We're inviting the fellas to be a part of a conversation that we hope we can expand on. Here at H&D Abroad, we strive to help Black couples in particular see moving abroad as a plan A to improve generational wealth and to provide a better, healthy living and lifestyle. It's not a must. We're not trying to force you to move abroad. We're trying to get you to join in on our experience. We decided over a year ago that we would start this channel to share our journey of planning to move abroad. And in the process, hope that we could learn from people we come in contact with, this community, which is you. And it has been an amazing ride and journey so far. And we're at that point where we are implementing new challenges, implementing new opportunities. And this night is our first night on a series of Black Men's Conversation. And yes, word of psychotherapy, you can listen and you don't have to be quiet. Because we want the conversation to be round. I do want the men to holler out today, to have their words. I see Stephen and David and my boy Said with Aging Grateful. It's glad that you're here, Big Sis Dula. Glad you're here to support. This is this is different for me. I feed off of my partner. And so having a conversation that is me talking to you, it's funny because I'm a talker, but I'm an engager. So you hear me say every week, this is a conversation. This is definitely a conversation. Not trying to keep you here long, just trying to start a process. And let's get to it. Earlier on in our let's be specific. Last January, I did a conversation with several known YouTube content creator men, Black married men who were either had moved or were in the process of moving abroad. And we talked about what we felt were the challenges of being Black men in America. A couple of comments that we got addressed whether or not we were being traitors to the life that is the United States. And from men. And one gentleman said, we built this, and we ought to stay here and build on it. We ought to make this grow. It's our responsibility. And running off, you just he pretty much accused us of being weak and lame for not digging into the trenches. There are people who are saying, you're going off and, you're giving your economy and money to other countries and they don't care about you. And those countries don't have what America has. And in our process and our conversations as men, when we've, addressed with our families and friends that we're looking to move abroad, we hear things like, how are you going to take care of yourself? And how are you going to survive? And how are you going to provide for your family? And, how are you going to meet your needs? And nothing is as good as it is in America. So I wanted this conversation to kind of start there. It is really challenging. Everybody knows the challenge it is as Blacks, that we bring up being in America as Black men in particular. There's the fear of law enforcement. You know, if my actions are misunderstood, if my actions are seen as controversial or aggressive, I could be attacked. I could be hurt. Um, we deal with going to our jobs and not feeling like we are offered the same options and financial opportunities as our white counterparts. Dee was watching a show that was based on a book she read by Kathy Hampton. Good to see you, Kathy. Black Cake, and the son in the movie was up for a promotion, and the job was passed to his white counterpart. And we see that all the time. We feel that we as Black men have some of the worst health rates in the country. And I am watching my peers move abroad, and in weeks you can see the shadows come out from underneath their eyes. You can see the weight dropping off, and more so than that, you almost can see the stress lifting off of their shoulders. Is that real? Is that a psychological thing? Have we tricked ourselves into it's the grass is greener on the other side? And that's kind of what I wanted to throw out here in this conversation tonight. Are we, by staying in the States, are we repeating a cycle, or are there opportunities here that we're just simply ignoring, that we're just, we're not trying hard enough? And that's kind of what I want to jump in tonight. I'm going to see what kind of comments we're getting here. Thank you, ladies, for your support. I definitely appreciate it. All right. So my boy Steve said, Black men have been trained to work from can't see to can't see, which makes it hard to visualize something else, in my opinion. Man, that's deep. We are almost trained to, keep going, it's down there. Keep moving, you'll get to it. Work hard enough and you'll earn it. When I graduated from college in the mid-90s, I was, just knew at 22 that I had, paid my debts to get ready to move into the work world. I went home for the summer to, regroup and get myself together. And by summer's end, I was as jobless as I had been as a student. I moved back to the state in which I had gone to college because cost of living was less, and tried to move into my field of study. I had a degree in psychology. I knew that I was going to have to do more schooling. I said, there are social service aspects all over, this town. I can find work. It took me deep into almost the end of the year before I found work in my field. And that work was as a runner for the Department of Health Services, Human Services, Child Welfare Division. Essentially, I put kids in my car and I ran all the tasks that the social workers didn't want to run. And I made less than $11,000 a year. I made more on my mileage check than I made in the paycheck that I earned every 2 weeks. I assumed that was a part of the journey, that I was paying my dues. It was my job to work hard until I earned it. I had shown the grit that I had. I put in my elbow grease, that I was willing to start at the bottom to work my way to the top. 10 years later, I was unemployed and looking for work that was barely more in pay than that first job. And we were preparing for our third child. It's been a long time since 22. And sometimes I feel like I still put in applications and there's still no path. My resume is a million pages long, and I'm still moving from can't see to can't see. Um, yeah, Aging Grateful asks, what are we really building in America? Putting in all this effort, putting in all this time, putting in all this money, we are sacrificing. I'm watching 50-year-old men be bent over like old men. And I'm watching my peers go to the grave decades before their parents. Um, when we went to Mexico in 2022 to secure our visa for the first time, we were there roughly 10 days or so, roughly about 2 weeks. And in 2 weeks, I felt like a new man. Um, the time to walk, the time to better choose what I wanted to eat, the time to sleep. Um, it just the change of pace, the energy, and the stress of looking over my shoulder melted away really fast. Um, the gentleman in that first conversation with me said, "Oh, you're going to get over it really easy. You're going to move out there and you're going to see that nobody is trying to get you." Rick Crawley from Our Black Utopia talks about standing outside the shop with the shopping bags, because in the States, you don't walk into a store with bags because somebody's going to assume you're trying to steal stuff. and and that fear of always second guessing. I talk regularly about the fact that we are policing ourselves. We don't need to be policed anymore. We are policing ourselves. But everybody feels the need when you see a Black man outside of spaces they think that we ought to be in, to check in on us. I do some part-time deliveries, and the company gave me a vehicle which was unmarked. And I was delivering from the vehicle to houses, and I was being followed around the neighborhood. That is demoralizing. It is, is it really that bad? Are we making it up? Uh, I've heard this comment a lot from Aging Grateful. You've said it right. If America is like being in an abusive relationship, they're telling us every day that we're not wanted, but we're scared to leave. Abusive relationships, if you have any knowledge of the psychology involved in that, it's often that people are in abusive relationships, if they have the physical ability to leave, are often trapped psychologically. We teach our children don't and can't from the time that they're small. I watch in our neighborhood, a couple of streets over, there's a white family and their little children. My youngest daughter is probably 3, 4, and their sons are probably less than 10. And they spend all their time in the middle of the street. And I drive pretty large vehicles, and I've asked, hey, get your kid out of the street for safety. And it's been very nonchalant, like I'm the person in the way. And I spent all my time shooing my kids out of the street and shooing them out of the rain, and every opportunity that they had to be kids, I felt like I was chasing them away from just having the opportunity to be children, because somebody was going to accuse them of something, or somebody was going to blame them of something, or somebody was going to ignore that they were there, and and take advantage of them or move over them, walk over them. We were in DC. Oh, they were probably kindergarten, third grade, and fifth grade, that age group. And we had gone to DC for Christmas. And I was taking them to see the trees down by the White House. And we were walking through an area that was being renovated, but it was still open to pedestrian travel. And we were walking up against the gate. So literally the open sidewalk we left open, and we were walking up against the gate. My youngest was about 5. My next child was about 8. About 8. And then my oldest was about 9, 10. And we were walking down this line. I'm walking behind them. And there's space around us so that people, my children could walk straight. And people were actually walking in the space we were walking in towards us like they weren't going to move. And I was having to say out loud, don't move. Keep walking out loud so that these privileged people would know to get the hell out of the way. And I wasn't going to move. And having to put my kids through that, I was angry at the end of the night. What should have been a joyful experience, I was angry because I had to defend the fact that kids were walking. We weren't stretched out across the sidewalk like people like to do, all in the way. We were specifically at a place where we could walk and people could go around us. And they were trying to force my children out of the way. The weight, the emotion, the frustration, the overwhelming just the fear, the anger that comes with having to constantly defend yourself. But are we being dramatic? As I've heard said, are we being male drama queens? Are we just complaining, bitching and complaining because you need to just pull our pants up, put our big boy pants on and make this work? But when all of my efforts are credited to someone else, when all of my efforts are discounted, when somebody else's are given creed to, how am I supposed to feel? Where am I supposed to go? We are building others' dreams instead of our own. We need to thrive, not just survive. This is what we need to lead those who we deem important to us. Is it okay to leave our families behind for our own safety? If you feel okay, I got to go where I'm okay. There's that point too. Are our supporters making us feel guilty also? We spend as much time trying to explain to those we love why we should do something that builds us up rather than getting support for doing something, even if they don't understand it. I'm not trying to make you move abroad. I'm not trying to make you pack up your bags and go somewhere else. But when was the last time, gentlemen, you decided for yourself what was best for you? I am envious of the conversation I hear sisters having towards their freedom. And the conversation that we had a couple of months ago with Aging Grateful and Intentional Metamorphosis was, are we as Black men allowed those same freedoms without reprise, without having to come up with conditions? I want to do this, but I'll do this for you also. Are we allowed to take a sabbatical? Can you walk in your house and say to your partner, I need 6 months off. I need a year off. I need a break. I need to quit my job. And everybody be okay with that. What does that mean to the people around you? The Stockholm syndrome. We're loving our abusers. We're loving our warden. Let's see. Agent Grateful says, I was in Arizona in June getting gas. The girl at the register told me they didn't take cash. As I used my debit card to get gas, the other tribe walked up and handed her $40 in cash and just looked at me. And it doesn't matter if we say, I'm not coming here anymore. I'm not I'm not shopping here anymore. I'm not investing in you anymore, because there's not enough of us on the same page. There's not enough of us saying together, hey, let's unite and make this change. Dee and I decided that when we started this channel, our hope was that we could create a community where these conversations began to expand. This is stepping forward into unknown space. There's always been activists. There's always been people who fought for the rights of others. It's why we are where we are today, because of civil rights activists and those kids who marched through the streets of Birmingham, and Black Panthers and Black Lives Matter. But where's the consistent movement to grow? That is both collective and individual. This process, this project is a challenge for me, because, I got a lot to say. I got a lot to say. But when you put yourself out front, when you step out there and say, I'm taking a step forward in support of a specific group, and tonight specifically for Black men, I believe that we fall as Black men into the endangered species category. I believe that. I believe that if we don't find a way to unite, we are going to die out. We are losing connection with the Black women in our lives. And even more so than that, we are losing connection with one another as Black men. We have so many stereotypes and trainings to move past. It's okay to hug. It's okay to cry. It's okay to ask for help. It's okay to say, I don't know, and I don't know where to go. And finding a place where we can say, hey man, I just need some contact. I reached out to David of It's a Wonderful Life with David and Nikki, because I needed to talk. I didn't have anything I needed to say. And he said, yeah, man, call. And I appreciate that. I called Said from Agent Grateful. I got a meeting set up with Rick Crawley of Our Black Utopia, because I've lost the habit of reaching out. We're not talking about my ability to have a conversation. We're not talking about my ability to engage. We're talking about building a consistent community of connection that is life building and sustainable. I'm not expecting you to be available every time when every time I call, every time I say I'm in need. Uh, But knowing that I have somebody to lean back on because occasionally my legs are weak, that's a big deal. My wife should not be the only person helping me carry my burden because then I lose her before it's time. And 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 even more than that is avoiding the doing it alone. You hear me say all the time. One of my main mottos to myself is get out of your head. Get out of your head. Get out of your head. I hold whole conversations in my head. I taught myself that as a child. I was quiet uh, because of my father's job. We moved around a lot, so a lot I was the new guy. So I would have fights with people in my head. Uh, I mean, whole not just arguments, whole fist fights in my head with people. I would I would explain myself. I would prepare myself to explain so that people could understand me. And those habits became a lifestyle process that distanced me from at times the people I love and have created barriers between myself and people with whom I can become closer because vulnerability is associated with weakness for men, and vulnerability is associated with super weakness for Black men. We don't get to be weak. We we're told to buck up and tighten up and pull ourselves up from my bootstraps and all kind of other crap. That, man, it's just at the end of the day is a bunch of nonsense. We're not talking about do you need to be a man and stand up for yourself and straighten your back out and get it together. Those things are important. Those things are real. Don't be lazy and slothful. That's a bunch of garbage. Pull your pants up. I'm talking about nobody's back is so strong that they can take all the weight all the time. And when that collapse happens, where's the backup? Where's the backup? Um, we watch young couples, white couples, get married, and in my neighborhood, I've watched them come with their parents to help them buy their house, or I've watched them build houses on their land so that they can, slow work their way into new jobs, and they have a place to live that doesn't cost them anything. We move out of the house at 16, 17, 18, 20, trying to figure out how to survive. We can't even afford our own kids after a certain point. We can't because we're still trying to survive when they become young adults. And as men, there is an embarrassment, there is a frustration that becomes so ingrained in us we don't even recognize it anymore. We don't even it doesn't even come to the front. It doesn't even show itself. But we wonder why we're sitting up at night, why we have emotional outbursts that don't always look like tears. Sometimes it looks like anger and rage because there is no release valve. There is nowhere to let the steam loose. And I'd like for this to begin to be the place. I don't have a lot to say tonight. I wanted to open this door. This is emotionally hard for me. How? Because I feel exposed. But I trust in this process. And I'm going to do this regularly. I don't know how often yet, but this is something I want us to share. Oh, wow. So, to the brothers in the chat, I appreciate you showing up tonight. There is more for us. There is a big world out there that is waiting to be conquered, and we're not too old. This 50 is brand new for me. This 50 is brand new for me, and I'm coming for the world. And I'd like for us to stand together. And I want us to live. I want us to grow. I want us to strive, and I want us to survive. This is day one of Man Monday. We'll talk. I'll invite some of you on. We'll have some guests. And we will begin a conversation that I think the world is waiting for. If not now, when? If not us, who? I am Herman. This is H&D Abroad. And we are ready for the world. Subscribe to our channel. Like, share. Stop by and see us. We believe we have an experience that is worth sharing with you and worth learning with you. Share this with your husbands. Share this with your sons. Share this with your fathers and your neighbors. Let's join together and be the men that we were created divinely to be. There is none better. There is none higher. We will not and cannot be outdone. I want to say a special thanks to those who provided us to Word Up Psychotherapy and to Aging Grateful for your super chats. Thank you for your support. We continue to grow. We'll be coming to you with the projects that we're working on because we want you to be a part of those, because we believe those projects are going to expand this conversation and this opportunity with you. As always, we're Aging Grateful. We do this together. We'll see you soon. Happy Monday.